Welcome to the Q Podcast.
Q is about conversation.
If we're really concerned about ending poverty, we've got to be more concerned about creating justice.
Our cultural products as Christians need to both defy and resonate with the culture.
But God's doing amazing things. His church is expanding. His church is growing.
It's not what's the purpose of my life, it's what is the purpose that's been assigned.
Stay curious, think well, advance good. This is Q.
Welcome to another edition of the Q Podcast. This is Gabe Lyons. I'm so glad that you're spending some time with us today. I don't know if you're on a walk, maybe you're exercising, maybe you're in your car, but I'm just glad that you're taking time. We love that there's a community of thoughtful people that want to improve how they're thinking about their leadership, faithfulness, the culture, current issues, how to navigate these. And so weekly, this podcast is part of a series of information that we're trying to provide and curate, especially for you. You can learn more about Q Media by going to qideas.org, click on the Q Media tab, learn more about how we're trying to bring this into your home, not only through audio and through podcasting, but also on your Apple TV, on your screen, on your device. And our goal is to educate, but add conversation to it. We don't want you to just consume content by yourself, but that everything we're talking about can lead to a better conversation for your family, for your work colleagues, for your team, for your friends. And so we hope today is no different. And I'm excited about the topic today because we're talking about leadership. And, you know, leadership's one of those words I feel like that in my generation, Generation X, and then even in the millennial generation, we start to see it used less and less. People aren't necessarily wanting to claim the title of leader. The word influencer has gained a lot of notoriety now because that's the word, right? You're an influencer. But leadership has been something people shy away from because with leadership comes some certain demands that I'm not sure everybody wants to sign up for. Leadership, it requires a great deal of discipline. It requires strategy. It requires the ability to compel people towards a vision. It takes a lot out of you as a leader, but it also has incredible gifts. Well, today we're talking about a style of leadership that I think will relate to all of us. We all really are leaders if we're influencing other people. We have the opportunity to influence in positive directions or negative directions. And so as we think about our leadership today, we want to put it through this lens of what David Miller, who's the vice president of coaching at the Slingshot Group, calls improv leadership. Now, in the last few months, if you're leading anything, you've had to do improv leadership. You've been put in a position to where a lot of change happened in your circumstances, and you've had to figure out how to navigate that. How do you navigate that in a healthy way? How do you navigate that with integrity? How do you look at your finances and manage budgets and financials and expenses? And how do you manage cuts? How do you manage hiring? How do you manage growth? How do you pivot and do new things that are innovative that allow you to serve your customer well without sacrificing your core mission and vision? And so these are the types of things that we as leaders have had to do. And today we're going to hear from a voice who has spent a lot of time around leaders who lead churches, to organizations, to institutions. And what I love about David Miller is his idea of improv leadership. He has a new book coming out called Improv Leadership: How to Lead Well in Every Moment. And this book and this talk are a perfect combination because they're going to help us better understand what is it that leaders do that do well when they have changing circumstances, and what does it mean for us to navigate those well and bring people along with us. So let's listen in now to David Miller on improv leadership.
Now, this is a surreal moment for me because Q has become my community over the years. This has become a can't miss event, and I find myself going back to the talks I've heard over and over again. So it's an honor, not only to learn alongside each of you, but to get a chance to contribute a bit of what I've been working on with my team over the years. I am currently in my dream job. I know that not everyone can say that, and so I don't take it lightly. I'm a coach for leaders. Not only do I get to coach leaders, but I get to lead a team of coaches, of which, believe me, I am by far the least impressive. I learn from them every day. It's a dream job. Our team of coaches have galvanized around this single phrase over the last few years. The phrase is this: we help people love their work. When you boil down what drives us as coaches, it is that. But here's the thing. I have come to believe that this idea is far too big to be relegated to a single coaching organization. This should be the driving force of each of us who call ourselves leaders. You see, if we would shift from simply being someone's boss or supervisor or manager to having the mindset of a coach, we could do incredible things. We would inspire people that we have influence with. We would develop them into becoming the best versions of themselves, not necessarily who we want them to be, but who they are at their core. We will, and I think this is huge, create environments on our teams that the best and the brightest couldn't imagine leaving. Think about how this mind shift from boss to coach would change the way you lead. With this in mind, I want to share with you the coaching strategy that we use at Slingshot Group. We call it Improv leadership. Now, you may be thinking, improv? Why improv? See, because when most people hear the word improv, they believe that it is synonymous with winging it or making things up as you go. But those who know that could not be further from the truth. Have you ever seen an improv comedy show? Like really good improv, where these talented, highly trained comedians, they put on a show that looks and feels effortless as they take suggestions from the audience and play off of one another. Here's the truth. There is, in fact, an enormous amount of effort that has gone into making it feel so effortless. Before they ever hit the stage, they've spent hundreds of hours honing their craft. The team or troupe practiced and performed together night after night and developed a rapport and trust for one another. You see, not just anyone can improv. Only the best can stand in front of a crowd of people and draw on their talent, their skill, their training, and contribute something meaningful at a moment's notice. You've likely heard the phrase, the people who make it look the most natural or easiest are actually the most prepared. See, this concept of improv, it got us thinking at Slingshot Group about leaders. Is it possible for a leader to improv their leadership? Now, we've found over the years that most leaders, that we do pretty well when our role is clear, when our job descriptions are ironclad, when we've wrapped our minds fully around the tasks at hand, and when nothing goes wrong. What about when real life happens? What about when things don't go according to plan? And we realize that we're not working with machines, but we're working with human beings, and they are complicated and messy. We found that in these situations, leaders can default to becoming spectators. Or worse, they can default to becoming critics. You know, it's far too easy to mistake criticism with leadership. We're seeing this today in many leaders. In the midst of a season where the leadership script has been thrown out, and just weeks ago, our congregations were worshiping together in person. We were leading our organizations and our teams face to face in our offices, and now we've become experts in online streaming, and we're engaging with our teams from a distance and learning to perfectly manage the mute button on Zoom so we don't talk over one another. Now more than ever, we are in need of leaders who are not so dependent on the way it was or that perfect management tool. What we've done with improv leadership is we've identified 5 core competencies that a leader can draw on in any moment so that they can lead. I want to share a few of those competencies with you. The first one is story mining. Story mining is thoughtfully uncovering a person's story and allowing it to shape the way you lead them. It's about getting below the layers of a person's story and knowing who they are. Next is precision praising. To precision praise, you are carefully crafting praise to inspire and course correct your team. You know, people are motivated by praise over correction. So if we want to lead them well, we need to master this skill. Number 3, metaphor cementing. Metaphor cementing is using concrete illustrations or metaphors to strengthen teachable points of view. What would it look like if you walked into your next meeting with the perfect metaphor to help your team better understand what they're trying to accomplish together? Number 4, lobbing forward. This is creatively challenging your team to look beyond the day-to-day grinds of their jobs and into the future. We found that most people on our teams are so inundated with the day-to-day that they have forgotten how to dream. It's our job as coaches, as leaders, to stretch their imaginations and help them to envision what could be. Finally, going north. Going north is using indirect influence to redirect a person's thinking or perspective. We all know what it's like to have a difficult conversation ahead of us. And every time we attempt to broach the topic, we run into this wall as we try to motivate this unmotivated team member. It's our job as leaders to get around the wall, to connect with them on a human level. We are in need of leaders today who put in the work, who have honed their craft in such a way that they are ready to contribute, to lead in this moment. We're in need of you to be improv leaders.
I hope you enjoyed listening to this talk by David Miller and just this idea. I mean, one of the quotes that I just love from what he said here is that we're in need of leaders today who put in the work, who've honed their craft in such a way that they are ready to contribute, to lead in this moment. And so as I started off this podcast, I mentioned the word leadership sometimes isn't the name that we want to claim as leaders, but I want to encourage you to claim it because we need leaders who will kind of take up that mantle and say, I'm going to help lead a group of people to this next destination. When you're in a society where there's a lot of questions, when there's uncertainty, when there's a lack of confidence in where this future is going, this is an opportunity for people to lead, but we have to bring people with us. And so I hope that this improv leadership idea is one that energizes you, where you go, you know what? This is actually where I can grow as a leader, is things are changing around me so rapidly that nobody can predict the future. But what I can do is I can know how to faithfully try to bring others with me. I can also try to navigate faithfully what I've been called to do in this particular moment. And so I hope you're encouraged today. I also want to remind you, this talk you can actually watch on Q Media on our platform. You can watch it on your phone. You can watch it on your laptop. You can watch it on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire. The Q Media platform is everywhere that you have a device, and we want you to take advantage of that because not only is this talk there, the entire virtual summit that we just did in April is there, 40 different talks and conversations on every kind of issue and topic you could imagine. And you can take advantage of watching that and watch the entire sessions. You can also watch them by talk. In addition to that, you can watch films, short films. Every Saturday night, we try to pull the community together to watch a film together and make it a movie night and a conversation. Thursday nights, we're doing Q dinners together where you watch a talk with your family or friends and have a real conversation that we know is shaping our lives. And so we just want to encourage you to be involved with Q Media beyond this podcast. Just get engaged with this community. It's a group of people who are taking this in, who are leading well in their own local community, and they're making a difference. And you can learn more about that at qideas.org/2020, and you can learn more about this at our qideas.org website. I hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll look forward to continuing these conversations next week.